Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at FPP Radio.com. I am your host, Darryl W Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, and I'm here for you for a Friday AMA. That's right. It's the day that I answer your questions, and they can be questions about anything. Literally anything. And, you know, when I started doing the AMA, and I will get into the question here momentarily, and boy, is it a doozy. But when I started doing the AMA, I had envisioned, and maybe this just shows how my brain works, but I had envisioned that I would get more strange questions. You know, because whenever I see that somebody is doing an AMA, and, well, let me rephrase that. Not every time, because there are some shows that I listen to where they do a weekly Ask Me Anything. And I don't necessarily send in very strange questions, but I like the strange questions of, would you rather be a tiny rhinoceros or a giant duck? I know, strange question. And when I asked that question to Gary Allen, race director of the Millinocket Marathon and Half, he asked me if I was okay and if I needed, like, some mental help. But, you know, I like the weird, absurd, strange questions that sort of make you think. Because, really, would you prefer to be a tiny rhinoceros or a giant duck? And then there's the questions of, well, would I be sentient? Would I know that I'm a tiny rhinoceros? Or would I know that I'm a giant duck? Or would it just be, all right, you know, like, I happen to be a duck and I'm giant and, like, you know, I can't really punch things or do much because, you know, giant duck. Are there other giant ducks with which I could wind up, interacting? Or am I the only giant duck in existence? Am I the only tiny rhinoceros? Am I a new species? Am I the first of my kind? Am I the outlier? Am I shunned from my fellow ducks or rhinoceroses? What is the plural of rhinoceros? Like, these are the questions that I thought that I would get. And I have gotten some very strange questions back in the early days, but none recently. So send over your strangest, weirdest, most outlandish question that you can think of using the contact form on the website, ama.fppradio.com. You don't have to include a name. You don't have to include your name. You do have to put something in the name form of the website. You have to put something in the email address form or line on the website. You do have to put a question that is coherent enough to where I can understand what the question is, and then shoot it over. ama.fppradio.com. Now, let me jump into the question this week. Is Trump really planning a massive military ceremony? Sadly, yes. Now, I could leave it at that, of sadly, yes. But you know me better than that. Or at least if you listen for a while, you know me better than that. You know that when I only have one question, I like to dive deep into answering the question. Now, there's stories from multiple media outlets The one that I first saw this from was Reuters. Now, I'll just go ahead and read this article, and then there's an article from the Washington Post, actually 2 articles from the Washington Post, one of which explains a little bit more about the parade and why it's not going to be like what Donald Trump says he wants it to be like, and I'll explain. Just bear with me. Now, it can be any kind of bear. It can be a tiny bear. It can be a large bear. It can be a stuffed teddy bear if you want. And yes, see what I did there, using the word bear in multiple meanings. So again, article from Reuters says U.S. President Donald Trump, and the story actually from a couple of days ago, February 6th, U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered the Pentagon and White House officials to begin planning a military parade in Washington similar to the Bastille Day parade he witnessed in Paris in July of last year. So he was so impressed with this parade. It was a great parade. It was a wonderful parade. I want to have my own parade, kind of like that parade, but I want my parade to be bigger and better because I'm the president of America and I want my own parade. If France can have their parade, America's better than France. We need to have a better parade. Okay, because I'm Donald Trump and I want a parade. That's what it sounds like, is some spoiled, rotten kid that finds out that one of his neighbors has a new toy and goes and yells and demands that mom and dad buy him the new toy too. Mom, Dad, I need the new toy because Tommy has a toy and I need a toy. I need a parade too because Tommy had a parade. I need a parade. Continuing on. And again, it's not like he just saw the parade last week and decided, I want this. He saw this last July and has been thinking about it for 6.5 months. The article continues. At a meeting at the Pentagon on January 18th that included Defense Secretary James Mattis and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Joseph Dunford, Trump said he wanted a military parade, citing this according to an official who spoke on the condition of anonymity. What did the official say? What did Trump say? And how is his parade not going to be like the one in France? Stay tuned. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. The Doublespeak Dictionary by Leslie Starr O'Hara satirizes the marked difference between the ideal of we the people and the reality of we the elite, while offering an insightful glimpse into the clockworks of the totalitarian mind. Ever irreverent but never irrelevant, the Doublespeak Dictionary serves as a subversive and humorous but timely reminder that the emperor has no clothes. The Doublespeak Dictionary is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W Perry. Online at FPPRadio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at FPPRadio.com. Something else that is different from an original, if you will. Not that France originated military parades, but, you know, they've been having them for a long time, and, well, I'll explain. Just stay tuned. But Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency, and I'm not going to say that Bitcoin is dead, but there are some problems and some issues. And there have been people working on developing new cryptocurrencies over the last 8.5, 9 years. And, well, there's one that came out last year that is definitely a better cryptocurrency. a cryptocurrency with a focus on users and usability. I'm talking about Zencash. Zencash is the world's first private, distributed, and reliable platform for communications, transactions, and publishing. Zencash has the ability to do both transparent transactions, which are the ones that you're used to with, say, Bitcoin and Litecoin and Doge and all of that sort of first-generation cryptocurrency. But Zencash also has the ability to do shielded transactions, meaning that only the sender and the receiver know what is in that transaction. Those shielded transactions are possible thanks to zero-knowledge proofs, something called ZK snarks. Zencash also features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvement, and their documentation and wallets are available in many languages for many platforms. It's not just Windows, and it's not just a command line. They've got stuff for Android, a GUI wallet for Android. GUI means graphical user face. So, it looks like just a regular thing where you type in a PIN and then it unlocks the wallet and then you see the stuff. You don't have to know coding to be able to use the wallet on the Android. They've also got wallets, again, not just in English, but multiple languages available for Windows, Linux, Mac, and of course that Android device that so many people use. Learn more at zensystem.io. That's zensystem.io. Jumping back into the article about Donald Trump's parade. He wants a parade. It's going to be the best parade. Okay, needs to be a great parade. It's going to be huge. Again, Trump at a meeting of Pentagon officials that included Defense Secretary James Mattis and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman General Joseph Dunford and some military personnel, one of whom spoke on the condition of anonymity, said the marching orders were, I want a parade like the one in France. This is being worked at the highest levels of the military, according to the official. Reuters continues after the Post published the story. The White House issued a statement that said Trump has asked the Department of Defense to explore a celebration at which all Americans can show their appreciation. A White House official, also speaking on the condition of anonymity, said the parade planning was in the brainstorming stage and that nothing had been decided. The Pentagon was aware of a request for a parade, but was only just starting to explore possibilities, including timing. Trump has said he was impressed by the military parade he watched in Paris on July 14th. U.S. and French soldiers marched together to mark 100 years since the United States entered World War I, and France's annual Bastille, or rather at France's annual Bastille Day holiday. The parade included tanks, armored vehicles, and a flyover of U.S. and French military jets. Trump told a reporter in September, to a large extent, because of what I witnessed, we may do something like that on July 4th in Washington down Pennsylvania Avenue. We're actually looking into it. Let that sink in for just a moment. Not the fact that he's saying, I want to do this, but we're actually looking into it. That sentence right there is just kind of strange, right? If you're ordering the Pentagon to do something and you're telling the Department of Defense secretary to do something, do you have to then tell the media, we're looking into it, we're actually looking into it? That seems to be the kind of statement that you would tell somebody when you are trying to blow them off of, we're looking into your concerns. We're actually looking into it. Don't worry, we're actually looking into it. We're not really looking into it. The article here from Reuters continues. The U.S. Capitol has held large military displays to mark significant occasions, including victories in war, but rolling tanks and marching troops down Pennsylvania Avenue are not typically done on the Independence Day holiday. Skipping over to the original Washington Post article, they do mention that there's a possibility that the parade might be held, and this according to, again, the Washington Post, where they say Pentagon officials prefer Veterans Day, November 11th, in part because it would coincide with the 100th anniversary of the victorious end of World War I, and therefore be less associated with the president and politics. A military official, again speaking on the condition of anonymity, said, "That's what everyone is hoping." It's unclear exactly what role Trump would play, whether he may perhaps serve as a grand marshal or observe the spectacle from a reviewing stand. And, you know, when I first heard the story here, when I saw the headlines, my first thought was, holy crap, Donald Trump wants to be Kim Jong-un. That was my first thought. And then I read the article. Oh, he was impressed by a military parade in France. That's rather interesting. But again, my first thought was Kim Jong-un. Because you oftentimes see the pictures out of North Korea. I know there's not a lot of pictures that come out of North Korea, but the pictures that you do see oftentimes show military parades where everybody's walking in lockstep and there's just large audiences that are there not because they want to be, but because they're told to be. And they don't want to go to the gulags. Yeah, I know they don't call them gulags in North Korea, but they don't want to go to the prison camps. So, you know, is it really you want to be there if you'd rather not be somewhere else? Maybe. I don't know. Stay tuned. There's more.
It is the year 91,001 BCE. Witness humanity's origins in Hyperchronius, a classic role-playing game for Windows PCs with a story like no other game before. A liberty-oriented experience that is not to be missed. Go to zog.ninja to get your copy of Hyperchronius today. Use the code FPP to get $1 off. Hyperchronius, zog.ninja, code FPP.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerary supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
This is Will Coley of the Call to Freedom, and you're listening to Darryl W Perry on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, and I'm answering your questions because that's what I do on Fridays. Again, if you have a question, or if you have thoughts that can somehow be turned into a question, and you want me to respond to that question, you want me to answer that question, send it over using the anonymous, if you want it to be anonymous, contact form on the website, ama.fppradio.com. Now, I know there's going to be the conspiracy theorist that says it's not really anonymous because you can, like, track IP address. Yeah, I'm not concerned about doing that. I just want the questions. If you give me your name, great. If you don't give me a name, hey, that's cool too. Just need to have something in the name form, something in the email address form, and a coherent thought with a question mark in the question area, and then click, I don't know if it says send or submit on the website, ama.fppradio.com. So the question that I'm answering this week is about Donald Trump's massive military parade. The question is Trump really planning a massive military ceremony? And yeah, according to officials that have spoken with the media, yes, he is. And he wants it, quote unquote, to be like that thing I saw in France on Bastille Day. But the Washington Post further says that Trump's military parade will not be like the one in France. The article here begins, Russian President Vladimir Putin has them, so does North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and French President Emmanuel Macron. Now President Trump wants his own military parade in Washington with soldiers marching and tanks rolling down the boulevards. The military official, again, speaking to the Post on the condition of anonymity, said the marching orders were, I want a parade like the one in France. Now, again, the thing here is not going to be like the one in France, because the one in France on Bastille Day happens every year. The last time something like this happened in the United States was 1991, when 8,800 U.S. troops and the weapons that helped the U.S. win the Persian Gulf War against Saddam Hussein were celebrated in D.C. But in Europe, defense scholars immediately raised questions about whether Trump's desired military parade would really fall in the same category as the one in France on Bastille Day, which is held annually and deeply rooted in the country's history and values. Although Trump's parade, like the French one, would feature the nation's military might, it might send a very different message, according to some European defense analysts. Quote here from Sylvie Kaufmann, an editorial director and columnist with the French newspaper Le Monde and a contributing writer to the New York Times, said, for the record, France's Bastille Day military parade is an old tradition going back to 1880. Its longevity and popularity have many historical reasons, probably different from Trump's motivations. Whereas France's Bastille Day, founded to celebrate the turning point of the French Revolution, now they don't mention which French Revolution because there have been many of them, has been associated with an annual military parade for more than a century. Efforts to combine a similarly patriotic holiday with a military parade in Washington might strike many foreign observers as odd timing. Why now? To White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the answer appeared clear on Tuesday evening when she said President Trump is incredibly supportive of America's great service members who risk their lives every day to keep our country safe. He asked the Defense Department to explore a celebration at which all Americans can show their appreciation. You know who I appreciate? And this is not part of the article. This is me asking you a legitimate question. Do you want to know who I appreciate? I appreciate the people that wind up not going overseas to kill people. I appreciate people that actually wind up making my life easier. The truck drivers that wind up getting food from the farm to the grocery store. The stock boys and girls that wind up taking the food and other things from the back room and putting them on the shelves. The people that, actually wind up making life easier for me and wind up helping actually make this country run. Because think about it. If there were no stock people putting supplies from the storage room onto the shelves, then that means you would have to walk back into the storage room yourself and then try to figure out where things are. And it would just wind up making grocery shopping a hassle, and nobody would do it. That's not to say that everybody would then wind up growing their own food, because that's also a hassle. It really, really is. And I know that there are some people that they want to go back to this sort of thing to where everybody just farms on their own. All right, but then what? I don't want to be a primitive caveman. I like having the internet. I like having electricity. Yeah, I also like going outside and running. But that doesn't mean that while I'm running, I want to be carrying a spear and chasing down a buffalo. I like being able to go to the store and buy meat. I like being able to go to a restaurant and buy seafood. Those are the people that I appreciate, the people that make my life easy.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
You know who else I appreciate? Tim Fry. You might not recognize the name, but you recognize the name of his business. That is, if you listen to this show quite frequently, Tim Fry is the man behind Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. And Roberts and Roberts Brokerage has been around since 1977 as a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver, also things like platinum, palladium. And they take cryptocurrency for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in cryptocurrency. So pick up your phone and call 800-874-9760. That's the telephone number for Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. Give them a call for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals. You heard that right. So maybe you've got some gold, silver, platinum, palladium that you need to liquidate. They can help. Maybe you've got some Bitcoin that you want to liquidate and turn into what some people refer to as the original cold storage. They can help. Again, knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760. That's 800-874-9760. Or visit online at rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co. Continuing on with the article from the Washington Post about why Donald Trump's parade will not be like the one in France that happens annually on Bastille Day and has been happening annually on Bastille Day for nearly 140 years. The last time there was a military parade in Washington, D.C. was 1991, again, celebrating the end to that first Persian Gulf conflict that is oftentimes referred to as a war, despite there not actually being a declaration of war. The article here continues, and yes, the link will be in the show notes where you can read it at your leisure. Article continues, but a military parade in Washington would likely be perceived as a more timely political message from a single individual to the nation and indeed to the world along the lines of, look how strong I am, look how strong we are. Nicholas Dungen, a France-based senior fellow with the Atlantic Council, said, people are going to compare it more with Kim Jong-un than with the Champs-Élysées. If a parade is organized due to a personal desire of Trump because he sat at the Champs-Élysées, then it becomes political. In France, the parade is not political. It's part of the nation. Don't forget, every Friday I answer your questions. Send those over ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.